All right, everybody, thank you for joining in us today in Analyticshala IvyProSchool's Expert Talk series. Today, the topic is very, very interesting. How's AI used in heavy manufacturing industry? What are the skills required to get into manufacturing industry for a data science or AI person? And the expert speaker that we have today is a very, very seasoned consultant from Tata Steel, ma'am Adity Ganguly. She is the head of data visualization and diagnostic techniques in Tata Steel. And thank you, ma'am, for joining us today. And she has spent
Thank you.
a lot of years and she manages a very large team within Tata Steel as well. So, must appreciate her eagerness to share her wisdom with us, with all of us, and especially in this platform whereby we invite people from across the industry to share their wisdom. So, thank you once again, ma'am. And ma'am, before we get started, I'm just going to make a small request to all the viewers that please, everybody, there is a subscribe button and a bell. Please do subscribe and share the knowledge. And we truly believe in open learning, and it'll be great for you, great for me, great for all of us who are part of this platform. So, ma'am, the first question to you, ma'am, how? Why don't you
Yeah.
explain? Because there are a lot of young folks who watch the channel. So, why don't you explain how you got into smart industry? This automation group in such a heavy industry. So just want to understand your story as well.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Pratik, first of all, giving this opportunity. So, yeah, like you said, I'm in Tata Steel for quite a long time. And the group that I belong to is called Process Technology Group.
Sure.
Means, Tata Steel is an integrated steel making. So they have their own mines, they have their own raw material building section, then they have their finished good section. So the part that we are looking into of the entire value chain is starting from raw material to the intermediate product that we make to make steel. So for making steel, we first make iron. So raw material to iron making, that part of the value chain is our technology group is looking into.
Okay.
So, we always believe that much before this AI thing has started, that as a buzzword, we always thought that without data, it is very difficult to see what is happening. So
Absolutely.
we always believe that, what you monitor, that gets improved. So that is with that background, we started first collecting data actually from different processes.
Okay.
So, like currently, we have a data warehouse or data center, whatever data lake. There are various names
Right.
nowadays,
Right. Right.
which host almost data from 40 different plants,
Absolutely.
and these are all process data. You are talking about automation level, so we have lots of sensors, field sensors that is there,
Okay.
and then from there it comes to let's say historian kind of server where
Okay.
all the data is captured and kept for a, let's say, for for a month or so,
Okay.
and then from that historian we collect it to a data lake or data center
Okay, ma'am.
where all process data, all quality data are available in such a manner that one can analyze whatever they are required.
Okay. Um,
So the very first step of AI is to, have that data. Otherwise, AI will definitely not work. Yeah, Pratik, you wanted to ask something?
yeah. So, ma'am, you very interestingly said that the first step in any AI-driven process is to have the right kind of data. And, ma'am, working with your group, what we have also realized is that our focus has been on the data side. Data collection, data cleaning. So, ma'am, is that the most important challenge that your team face normally?
Yeah, it is very, very challenging. In fact, a big team is there who is working towards this.
Okay.
So now there are a lot of AI tools that can help to actually monitor the data. But of course, when we started, it used to be a simple logic is that this particular parameter cannot go beyond this, cannot go less than this. So if it is beyond that level, eliminate those.
Okay.
So we started with that level.
Right.
And that is the most important step because whenever we analyze, we take data until unless it is cleaned, processed, you spend a lot of time in cleaning that data.
Absolutely right.
So we actually take care of that process, and it is a very, very important. I think we all data scientists, all analysts knows that having a correct data is very, very important.
Absolutely right.
Yeah. Yes.
And
Mhm.
so you mentioned very rightly that AI or analytics started with a simple rule-based engine, right? You had
Yes.
you had various different rules, and you encoded those rules into software programs, and that was what the first level automation that most of the organization achieved. And with Industry 4.0 and smarter technologies and maybe more availability of data and the tools to analyze the data. So, I think companies like you migrated to applying various different advanced analytics techniques as well. Ma'am, if I were to ask
Yeah.
you, so a lot of people associate data, a lot of people differentiate data analytics from AI. As per you, because you have gone through all different cycles and all phases, right? In such a large and complex industry, how do you differentiate between data analytics and artificial intelligence? I mean, what would be that thin line, if you may shed some light on it?
Yeah. So data analytics, before AI came into picture, actually, such a big way, we were also analyzing data at that point of time. But how? Mostly you can say phenomena analysis. So in our group, let's say there are a lot of metallurgists and process engineers. So they knew that if this happens, consequently this can happen. So they used to find those trends in the data.
Absolutely.
So one kind of analysis is that. Second is statistical process control. So from there we, all this control chart and all this t-test, hypothesis testing, this kind of analysis was step two.
Okay.
But with the advent of AI, all this are now gone. People doesn't the new generation they are joining, they doesn't even bother to know statistics and they go into AI. So
Right.
now you can say it is almost synonymous, analytics and AI. But yeah, there was a point of time when we actually did a lot of statistical analysis. There came a point where we were, data mining kind of tools were there,
Right.
where not so much of AI, but it was a mix of high level advanced statistical analytics were there. But
Okay.
nowadays it is all AI and AI. So you can say both are synonymous,
Yeah.
analytics
That's
and
right.
AI. Yes.
That's right. So, ma'am,
Mm.
what? So, what do you think? I mean, when you hire somebody for your group, right? What are the skills that you want to assess? As you mentioned, statistical process, and you also very lightly mentioned that a lot of young people who end up joining the organization or at least come to the interview thinking that it's all AI and they don't even have the basic understanding of statistics. So, do you think statistics is still a fundamental pillar for anybody to get into this kind of a industry?
So at present, the way these techniques are all being developed, I don't think statistical knowledge is so much required. What we do is, because this is a process company, so we generally for this kind of data analytics or data scientists, we hire process engineers only
Okay.
mostly,
Okay.
and uh, whatever training is required in terms of basic statistics and all, we try to build it in our organization only. So
Okay.
before we go, actually people dive into data analytics, we have a, with IB also we have designed, if you remember, we have a statistical module
Absolutely.
where the basic understanding of, uh, basic statistical tools like box plot, frequency distribution, hypothesis testing, itna to janna hi hai. So, but we are not really looking for some statistician
Okay.
at present. So, as because this is a process industry, process engineers are preferred, but obviously statistical knowledge is not the prerequisite at point of time.
Absolutely right.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
ma'am, so tell me, what kind of interview process rounds that you normally take? I know I understand. Okay, so I'll ask this question a little later. So if I meant to ask, if I can ask you, and if you can explain, what is the team structuring that looks like for your group, process automation group? I mean, do you have only process engineers? Do you have only data analytics folks? Do you have only software? So what kind of team composition does it look like?
Yeah, so it's a mix. It's a mix. You also know any group that is working with data, they need all kind of people. So there are a set of people who are helping us actually do the data engineering part of it.
Yeah.
There is a set of people who understand process very well, and there are a few people who are actually deep diving into analytics. So it's a combination of this set of people which are actually, because getting correct data is very very important. Once we have data, somebody has to analyze and somebody has to understand also
Right.
whatever is being analyzed. How do we convert that to a business? So technical language or analytics language to business language, that conversion is also very very important.
Brilliant.
Similarly, business problem converting into analytical problem, so that kind of understanding is also very important. So it's a generally a mixed group
Generally.
where so like this three kind of character: data engineers and analysts and people who can translate both sides. These are the people who generally.
Ma'am, one
Yes.
more question I had. For a young person in the data analytics, so I'm going to talk about data analytics and data engineer, of course. For a young analytics person, if you're interviewing, what are the key skills you would judge that person upon?
So, one should have that knack of doing that data analytics. Somebody, well, generally what we do, no, first, so there are generally some theoretical questions
Right.
like what is this, what is that, and then we try to describe certain scenarios. For example, that you have so many parameters affecting a particular parameter. This parameter, final parameter, is going up and down, and this is the characteristics of the final parameter. So, if the final parameter is going so much up and down, what kind of analysis you will do? What kind of tools that you will use? So, generally, we are trying to give a scenario to a person,
Okay.
and based on that we are seeing that whether that person is able to tell that this particular scenario will lead to this applying of this particular kind of techniques.
Okay.
So that mapping, some sense of that mapping is there or not. So that is what we are, along with the theoretical knowledge also can be enhanced, and with your experience applying those techniques can also be enhanced. But what we look for is that some basic understanding is there or not, that knack is there or not. Sometimes we share certain analysis and we say that what do you understand by this,
Okay.
why I have used this
Right.
in
Right.
this case, what else I could have used. So generally this is the type of question that we are asking, just to understand that that knack is there, that attitude is there or not.
To handle the
Yes.
data and to solve the business problem. Right.
Yes, yes,
And I'm
yes.
sure you must be also kind of getting interested by any candidate who talks the language of manufacturing industry and just does not talk.
That will definitely help. Yes, because data is very different if you go to retail or if you go to banking sector or if you come to manufacturing industry. We have a continuous process. Process cannot stop. So, what is the impact of previous instance to this instance? So, this kind of data is very different
Absolutely.
from one industry to another. So, definitely, if somebody is having some manufacturing background, that helps
Absolutely.
to
So, ma'am,
understand. Yes.
good. Thanks a lot, ma'am, for explaining that. We just have a few minutes remaining, so just wanted to ask you. I was reading one report by McKinsey, and it said that AI can bring a value impact in the manufacturing industry to the tunes of 1.5 trillion dollar to 2 trillion dollar, which is almost which is extremely large impact. A lot of countries do not even have this kind of GDP, right? So, do you agree with this statement that AI can actually bring so much of value addition to manufacturing industry?
Yeah, because we are seeing that in Tata Steel. Lot of application of AI that we are seeing. So I can different areas are there. Marketing, supply chain. But I can only talk about the core manufacturing where I work. Is that we are extensively using digital twins.
Okay,
So what it is helping is that it is reducing a loss in the system.
okay,
So either it is in terms of loss due to poor quality, loss due to enhancement of cost, raw material optimization. So that itself is giving us a huge value.
okay,
So one kind of application is digital tools. Another is whatever there is a repetitive problem kind of issue, the action that we are taking, whether we are taking correct actions or not. AI is helping us to identify. So whenever there is a problem, we are quickly attending those with a corrective action. We are trying to predict. We are trying to optimize. So huge value is to be unlocked. We have already done a lot.
Yeah.
Raw material selection. There's a raw material planning. We see a huge value is being unlocked using AI
Raw
because
material selection.
humanly it is. Yes, yes. So which coal to buy? At what is the market price of the coal? Based on that, which coal to buy? So all this decision, human being was also they were doing before,
Right.
but obviously if you use AI to assist, definitely that helps. So we are seeing that what you are mentioning now, so much of value is can be unlocked. We are seeing values being unlocked,
Okay.
and there is a lot of potential definitely.
Lot of potential. All right, man. Thanks a lot for joining in today and sharing your wisdom. Just to summarize your talk, you mentioned you started your discussion with a very simple use case, and you mentioned towards the end as well that raw material selection, which looks like a manual process, however, that is also getting impacted because of various advanced analytics and AI techniques. And you gave a lot of good tips on hiring and on skilling for manufacturing industry if you want to get into the data side of manufacturing industry. You also mentioned very candidly that one of the most challenging areas still exist in the manufacturing analytics industry, which is to have the right kind of data, the right clean version of data before you even start applying any of the AI techniques to solve real business problems. So thanks a lot, ma'am, and thank you, ma'am, and I hope we'll be able to host you again in the future. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, ma'am.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Pratik, and thanks being our partner in this journey.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.